Peace and welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and being with us this afternoon. Folks, we got a great show for you today. We got something a little different, a little special. We're going to be hearing from our analyst and historian, Dr. Gerald Horne, for the Horne Report for this week. And I will share with you why he's coming on today versus tomorrow. But we're going to cover everything from Edward Snowden's citizenship to Russia's nuclear threat, and give you a preview of what to expect for the January 6th hearing coming up tomorrow. We'll have that conversation. Plus, we go and talk about Coach Udoka. Why is it so important to know who that woman was that he was dealing with? We'll look at all of the unfolding dynamics of his situation and how Boston Celtics is still trying to figure out the best way to navigate through this very, very crazy space that they're in. Also, can we talk about being sexual online in the digital era? How being is it an issue that folks are more sexual online, especially if they're doing it in the privacy of their own computer, or is that a problem? We'll have that conversation, and we got a whole lot more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Welcome to another exciting edition of The Culture. Happy Tuesday. We got a lot to talk about, so I'm very, very excited to kick off today's show, as we will have a special guest on this week, Dr. Gerald Horne, who you normally hear for the Horne Report on Wednesdays, but because there is the hearing, the January 6th hearing will be taking place tomorrow. Dr. Horne said, look, I need to jump on a day. Let's get the people previewed for tomorrow and a whole lot more. So let's jump right into it and check in with Dr. Gerald Horne for the Horne Report. Peace, Dr. Horne. How are you, sir?
Hey, it's all good. What about you?
I'm good, brother. I am good, sir. All right, Doc, let's jump right into it. First and foremost, the big question is President Biden and their response to this latest nuclear threat coming from Russia. Let me just share this with you, folks, that the Biden administration warns Russia of catastrophic consequences if it uses nuclear weapons. Russia has gone on record to once again threaten to use nuclear weapons in its war against Ukraine. And let me throw this quote on there to give you some context, folks, because this has been a running theme of this conflict. In late May, Mr. Biden wrote, and this is according to the New York Times, it was reported. Take a look at this, folks. In late May, Mr. Biden wrote an essay in the New York Times in which he said that any use of nuclear weapons in this conflict on any scale would be completely unacceptable to us as well as the rest of the world and would entail severe consequences. American intelligence officials say they still believe the chances that nuclear weapons will be used in the conflict are low, but they believe those chances are significantly higher than they were in February and March because Mr. Putin has lost confidence in the ability of his ground troops to hold territory, much less take over Ukraine. Wow. We're back at this place again, Doc. Wow. So the Biden administration is saying, look, don't do it. Don't do it. And what do you think President Putin is saying? Do you think he's going to say, hey, I'm doing it? Or what? What do we make of this, sir?
Well, the bottom line is that it's very ominous. It's very dangerous. As I'm sure your audience knows, nuclear weapons could spell the extinction of all humanity, all life on Earth. And it's difficult to overestimate the significance of that event. But keep in mind, if you look at President Putin's remarks just a few days ago, which ignited this controversy, you'll see that he was responding to what he thought were nuclear threats, particularly coming from London, incoming British Prime Minister Liz Truss. And he was saying in response, don't go there because Russia, he says, has weapons, including hypersonic weapons, that as of now outmatch weapons that the United States and its allies can mount. In any case, this talk about nuclear weapons, it reminds me almost of a satirical play where a character puts a gun to his head and says, "Don't come any closer or I'll shoot." Because any use of nuclear weapons, it kills the people who are attacking, and it kills the people who are being attacked at the same time. It makes no sense.
Right. So that's what went through my mind, Doc, because I'm like, you acting like this thing is going to be contained, like oh, we're going to just keep the particles on that side of the border, versus that this thing is going to be. So why would he even bring that into the conversation? And I'm saying this with all jokes aside. Why have that part of the conversation escalate to that point where we're talking about I will use nuclear weapons on a country that's literally right next door to me?
Well, the issue is this, that if you look at those remarks by President Putin, he says he believes that the ultimate plan of the United States and its allies is to do to Russia what was done to the Soviet Union. Before 1991, the Soviet Union was a powerful country that included many independent states, including Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Moldova, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan. I could go on, but it was broken up. And so now Mr. Putin says that was not sufficient. They want to now break up Russia. And he says that he will not allow that to happen. He says that the arming of Ukraine is just one step towards that ultimate plan. And that's why we are now at the brink of humanity's extinction.
That's crazy. That is so crazy. All right, let me take some comments from our online culture crew. Folks, y'all can check in as always, as we're talking to Dr. Gerald Horn, the Moores Professorship of History and African American Study at the University of Houston. And the doc has always been very, very upfront about what we can expect out of this conflict. Truth is power. You checked in. Good to hear from you, bro. You said they're trying to go back to Hiroshima in 1945, but also with war, there's a monetary value whenever America endorses it. We know that based on history, Doc. So I think truth is power is right on that. But going back to 1945, I mean, based upon the history and the context in which that war took place, or which that event rather took place, are we at that place here with Russia, Ukraine, and in America?
Not yet, fortunately, because recall that August 1945, the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, took place in the context, number one, of a Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii in December 1941, which prompted the United States launching counterattacks on Japan. And then they fought for 4 bloody years before Washington ended the war by dropping the bomb. We are hardly near that kind of crisis, although stay tuned.
Wow. Let's go back to the culture crew. Folks should continue to post your thoughts on our on the chat on YouTube and Facebook. Here's the other part about this, Doc. As this is all happening with this war and with this war of words between America and the Kremlin, how does the situation with Edward Snowden play out? How does he get granted citizenship by Russia? Now, folks, if y'all remember, Edward Snowden is the gentleman who went all out to basically put the U.S. on blast. He was an intelligence officer in the U.S. Here for many years, and then he decided to just reveal some secrets. And as a result of that, he had to leave the country. He was in a couple of different places. He ended up in Russia. Now Russia is moved forward. President Putin has granted him full citizenship as part of that country. Political move or not? What is this all about, Doc?
Well, I think it was inevitable. Recall that Edward Snowden did not intend to wind up in Russia.
No.
He was in Hong Kong, part of the People's Republic of China. and intended to go to Latin America, perhaps Bolivia, perhaps Cuba. But what happens is that the United States authorities negate his passport when he's en route. He is then stuck at the airport in Russia, in Moscow, and finds sanctuary there. He's been living there ever since. He's volunteered to come home if he believes that he could get a fair trial. Quite frankly, I'm not even sure if he can get a fair trial, even in Washington, D.C., which to this very day has a majority Black population, which would probably mean a majority Black jury. And so he's decided to stay put. And this will not improve Washington-Moscow relations because the Justice Department of the United States wants Mr. Snowden badly.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. And I'm just wondering how many folks, I mean, the way that the news cycle moves, the way that the culture is right now, how many folks really remember what he did as he leaked leaked very highly sensitive information because he was he worked for the NSA, the National Security Agency. I remember when his case came up years ago, Doc. He was everywhere. It was like he damn near was called a traitor. You know what I'm saying? And it's absolutely ironic that just as much as we saw like him being blasted, and we see with Trump's situation with the documents, it's like two different situations, right? It's like you're living in an alternate reality. But one of the big things that was brought up about the Snowden situation is that people are saying that this is a rather curious timing for Russia to grant this man this level of citizenship. And, when we're looking at that, if he finds asylum in Russia, I mean, all of these things I'm playing out and I'm trying to just kind of wrap my mind around it, Doc. He's getting citizenship. Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan are still in prison. America is trying to go hard on Russia. America's trying to get Brittany and Paul to come home. and they want Edward Snowden locked up here in the States. I'm just trying to make sense of it. Like all of these dynamics, all of these things with Russia and America and the relationship between these two countries being at the center, I'm wondering if there's going to be any real resolution.
Well, I hope and I trust that there will be resolution of the Brittany Griner situation, the women's basketball star who's been detained for a number of months now. There are active negotiations as we speak. On the other hand, you could see granting Mr. Snowden's Russian citizenship in the midst of this crisis as a kind of trolling. It reminds me of the other news item out of St. Petersburg, Russia, just the other day, where rather boldly, the Russian authorities said that this winter they're considering heating the sidewalks in St. Petersburg. This is at a time when you have this energy crisis in Germany and Britain in particular, where people are facing the prospect of freezing in the dark. And when I saw that news item, it was almost as if St. Petersburg and Russia were saying to folks in Britain and Germany, if you want to stay warm, come sleep on the sidewalks of St. Petersburg.
Damn.
So this kind of trolling, it seems to me, if it is in fact trolling, is just one more emblem of the decline in positive relations between the two powers who have more nuclear weapons than any other nations on planet Earth.
This is some heavy trolling right here. Let's just shift gears a little bit, because as we're talking about things in Russia, Russia has always been a point of contention for America, not just because of this war, but because of its involvement with the 2020 and 2016 election cycle. There has already been numerous data and information that's out there saying that Russia did meddle with the United States presidential election on various levels through social media and other capacities. Now we're at a point now that they also, and I think I saw this, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Doc, but I also saw that Russia may have been a part of the whipping or stirring up the winds for January 6th to happen, right? Did you see something like that? Have you come across anything like that?
Well, there are all sorts of allegations about Russia's involvement in U.S. domestic politics. The story that I did see was the Women's March of January 2017, a few days after January 6th, where the New York Times had a front page investigative piece suggesting that the Russian Twitter bots helped to whip up animosity between and amongst women who were trying to organize that march, which has led to the decline of that particular organization that brought hundreds of thousands of women to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
With regard to Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin, there are all sorts of unexplained stories about their particular relationship. It may all come back to money. That is to say that when Mr. Trump was a flailing businessman, he was receiving capital from Russian banks, from Russian oligarchs, etc., that he was helping them launder money by buying condos in Florida at an inflated price, and then they could launder the money thusly. Hopefully, the January 6th committee will get to the bottom of this. Hopefully, they'll get to the bottom of it before the November election, although I doubt it.
Wow. I hope so too. Now let's talk about what we can expect to hear. As a matter of fact, let me just take a look, Doc, because I think we just seen something to come across the wire that they have officially decided to postpone the hearing scheduled for tomorrow. I'm just taking a look at this. Yes, it just came out. CBS News has just reported on this, saying that the House committee investigating the January 6th attack is postponed. The hearing was supposed to be the committee's 9th and final hearing and reveal some of the information the committee said they learned this summer. Why the hearing was postponed and when it will take place is still not clear. Wow, so we just seeing that. That just happened. What do you make of that?
You know, I built my whole schedule, as you know, around the hearing taking place tomorrow. That's why I postponed our report and shifted it to today.
Right.
I can't make heads or tails of that. It must be a surprise witness. Perhaps there's some sort of snag in terms of having access to a witness. It's really baffling. It's really befuddling because they've run these hearings in a very professional manner. It's as if they're programming for primetime television. That is to say, you don't see all the congresspersons pontificating and bloviating. Their quick cuts, their videos, their talking heads, etc. And so this is like CBS, for example, postponing a 9 p.m. program set for tonight, which doesn't happen. So I eagerly await the explanation.
Yeah, I mean, according to the report, a source familiar with the committee's plans, they said that CBS News, the hearing was expected to feature clips from an upcoming documentary on Roger Stone, who certainly has been an ally of former President Donald Trump. The source said that the filmmaker provided the panel with a total of 14 clips from the documentary, which was shot over a 3-year period. The documentary, called A Storm Foretold, is expected to be released later this year. So there was going to be some conversation about Roger Stone. I remember seeing some small clips of Roger Stone, you know, talking to some folks, kind of laying the groundwork with folks on the phone. In this clip of the documentary, he was laying the groundwork about Stop the Steal campaign, how they were going to, you know, get that kicked off. So, and was this also going to be, take a look here. This is what I saw, folks. This is from the documentary, A Storm Foretold. And he's talking about, Keenan, if we can bring some sound up on that for a little bit, bro.
Anything you can find and send us the links. Above the link, give us the quick version. Ballots found in dumpster in Texas. You know, Michigan papers over doors for lack of trains, whatever it is. That would be very helpful. We are relaunching Stop the Steal. We're going to raise money for Stop the Steal. It'll be like falling off a log. We don't know yet. You cannot. The site, the bank account's not open. The site is not up and operational, and I couldn't tell you what our program is. So I can't go see a donor and say, "Give me money," because then they say, "Well, I'd consider it. What exactly are you going to do with my money?"
Now that's going to be called into question.
Well, as your audience may know, Roger Stone is one of the more devilish figures in the history of U.S. politics, and that's saying something.
Damn, that's a lot to say, Doc. That's a lot, but I agree with you. But that's a lot to say. Yep.
His deviltry goes back to the late 1960s when he was a hatchet man for U.S. President Richard M. Nixon. And in fact, I'm afraid to inform your audience that he has a gigantic tattoo of Richard M. Nixon's face on his backside for whatever reason. And in any case, he got a pardon from the 45th U.S. president for apparent crimes he had been committing under federal law. Obviously, that does not exempt him from being prosecuted under state law. But in any case, I was looking forward to watching these clips. And also, there's a new book out that just dropped today by Denver Riegelman, a former conservative Republican congressman, a comrade of Liz Cheney, the congresswoman of Wyoming, who was on the January 6th committee, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, a Republican in her own right. And he has ruffled feathers on the January 6th committee because he had been hired at the behest of Liz Cheney to be a technician for the January 6th committee. And in his book, he reveals, among other things, that there was a call from the White House to one of the rioters or insurrectionists on January 6th in the late afternoon. Now, he has not been able to track down who made that call, if Agent Orange himself made that call. But in any case, it's quite tantalizing. And I expected to hear more detail about that revelation tomorrow as well. But I guess we're going to have to wait. Hopefully, they'll just delay for a day or two and then resume.
Let me ask you, Doc, do you think the fact that the book is coming out today impacted this hearing that was scheduled for tomorrow?
Well, we're entering the realm of speculation right now. And it's hard for me to say, but certainly Congressman Adam Schiff of California, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Tacoma Park, Maryland, they were both very upset by the release of this book. They felt it breached the decorum of the committee, that it was a violation of the agreement that they had with former Congressman Riegelman, who, by the way, is quite a sly operative in his own right. He comes out of the National Security Agency, by the way. He was a longtime intelligence operative. In an interview that I saw with him just the other day, he said that when he was in Congress, that was just a cover for his intelligence activities. Now, I assume he was joking, but in this country, you never know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to have to see what is going to be the situation around this. And I'm going to keep my eyes on it. I'm sure you are as well. And I'm sure you're not happy because of this change in plans. But we will have to see. When are we? And I wanted to, as we wrap up this part of the conversation, Doc, when should we expect to hear from Jeannie Thomas, the wife of Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice? Was that scheduled to happen tomorrow?
I don't think so. I expect her to be a difficult witness. I'm sure they do not want to bring her before a live audience. I'm sure they would like to get her on tape and then excerpt seconds or minutes from the tape. So Jeannie Thomas is a real operator. This is the spouse, of course, of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, the Black man who sits on the U.S. Supreme Court, who routinely votes against the interests of Black people. Of course, she is not Black herself, and it's very curious that when Mr. Thomas wrote an opinion overturning women's reproductive freedom just a few months ago, he also said that we should revisit other cases that were based upon the principles of Roe versus Wade, except for the Supreme Court case of Loving versus Virginia, which legalized interracial marriage. For some reason, he's not interested in revisiting that decision.
Yeah, for just some odd reason. I don't know. He want to cut up the bill on that part, but then the interracial marriage, no, we can keep that one in place. Dr. Gerald Horne, we truly appreciate your time. We know that the switch has been crazy for you, but certainly, I don't expect the January 6th committee hearing to happen anytime this week. So we will all have to just keep our eyes open to determine to see how things flow. But this is an interesting change of events. Something major must have come up because, like you said, this is prime time. This was rock and roll time. Something major must have come up. New information, a new witness, something has to come up. Not just your regular Washington rumor mill. Something substantial must have come up. So we will certainly see how this thing goes. Dr. Gerald Horne, the Moores Professor of History and African American Studies at the University of Houston. It's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Yes, sir. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about Coach Udoka, the head Boston. He's still the Boston Celtics head coach, but talk about why it's important for us to identify the woman. We're going to be checking in with Culture Crew member Iman Heath to have a discussion about Coach Udoka and what can we expect as this situation continues to unfold as we speak. So stay with it. That conversation is up next here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. We want to shift gears to talk about the situation with Coach Udoka, the Boston Celtics head coach that is under fire right now and has been officially suspended for the rest of the year as a result of his inappropriate affair that he's had with a female staffer, an affair that was just revealed last week. And as a result of that, the Celtics said they're suspending the coach and was a matter of conscience. Wow. Listen to this, folks. Now, this is what the Times has reported that has come out of the situation. They said that Amanda Pflugrad, who covers the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston, excoriated the organization after women employees were the subject of speculation on social media after it was revealed that Coach Udoka had an affair with a female staffer, telling the team that, quote, "You need to change." She said, "I think I'd be doing everyone and every female in the Celtics organization a disservice if I didn't step up on this. The last few days have been very hard in terms of emotions, ranging from heartbreak, sadness, defeat at sometimes, and anger and humiliation. Social media felt that it was completely fine to take innocent people's names in our organization and their personal photos and put them out there for speculation. That damages careers. That damages reputations." I want to bring in Culture Crew member Iman Heath, who is an activist and entrepreneur, to give us some insight about this, as she's been very vocal about women's issues and the treatment of women. And we're certainly happy to have her joining us today on Tuesday to give us some insight around this. Iman, good to talk to you, sis. How you feeling this afternoon? Uh-oh, you still on mute, Iman. Iman is like this every week, man. Every single week. We got you. Yeah, it's not working. All right, we're going to have King Keenan work with you on this. Now, folks, as we get Iman set up, make sure y'all join me in the conversations. Post your comments on our YouTube and our Facebook pages. And what do you make of this? Here's my thinking. Because this case has so many different layers and facets that I wanted to try to break apart, just break it down piece by piece, the different situations or the different dynamics of this case. And this part of the conversation, I want us to focus on women treatment. Why is it important that we needed to know who the woman was? And why were these women who were a part of the Celtics organization dragged on social media to figure out who the woman was, who's the staffer? So you go down a list of names of women that are part of the organization to try to figure out which one of them had an affair with the head coach. Like, the culture that we're in at this moment is so insane at times, and it's just so disrespectful that we put women under this scrutiny, right? But it's ass backwards for me. There we go. There we go. All right. Iman, I'm trying to figure it all out, right? You have a coach. Here's a guy. Now, I've been reading the stories and I've been trying to keep up with what we know. But here's a guy based upon what's been reported already. And I saw the first report from TMZ, who y'all know they got a division called TMZ Sports. But TMZ is, if nobody gonna find out the names or who that person is, TMZ gonna sniff that thing out, right? It's going crazy because it just adds to the culture. But they went out and reported that it was a young woman who basically booked the trips, the travel for Coach Udoka, right? But she also booked the travel for his fiance, Nia Long, on trips for her to travel from, I guess, from LA to Boston and all that. Nia Long just moved to Boston maybe a couple of weeks ago, so she can be closer with him during the season. So this is a woman that's been in those spaces. But why is that important, though? I'm trying to figure out why were people still trying to clamor and say, well, who is it? Who is it? Why is that even important?
Farajii, you know, first of all, how messy the culture is, number one, and then on top of that, internet. Those two perspectives. We also have to think about how people may want to deflect the blame off of the coach for his actions. It could be, oh, let's not forget what the woman did too. Let's not forget that she was a part of it too. You know, that plays a part as well. However, I disagree with his punishment. I think a year was a little too much. suspending him. I think that was a little too much. I do agree that both parties have to be held accountable, but I think it's just to deflect the blame off of him to say, well, you know, she did it too, or she had to blame too. Why is he being suspended, or why is he getting such a harsh punishment? Let's make sure she gets punished too. It's more of a don't forget the other person you can blame. To me, that's what it looks like so far from what we do know.
I've read that it was a situation, and I remember reading this piece from USA Today, maybe Friday of last week, I believe it was, where the writer had made the point that Coach Udoka was the superior and the female staffer was the subordinate, right? So there was a level of playing off of that power dynamic, right? There was a level of you know, Coach Udoka using his status as a superior person in the organization to take advantage of this young lady, of this woman. So I don't know. I think that is still yet to be determined. So for that point, I don't know if that's a situation that we can really, if we can really kind of play on. But I'm more concerned about the fact that you had all of these other women, and just as we shared in the quote, you had people pulling out personal information and photos of the other women in the organization. Like that's crazy. If this was an internal personnel issue, right? Can you imagine you hear somebody, a high-ranking person in the company that you work for, and I'm just saying this to all of our watchers, and then you hear somebody in your company, maybe the vice president, the senior vice president, hell, maybe the CEO, is having an affair with a young woman in the company, and they start pulling up the records of all the women in the damn company who could have possibly had an affair. Like, this is like a witch hunt. I know we use that term, but it's like, damn, like, what are we trying to prove here?
Farajii, have you heard who she was married to? No. Okay.
No.
So
I've heard, but I don't want to add to the rumor mill. I've heard that she may have been married to a board member of the Boston Celtics, but
that's what
I don't know if that's been confirmed or not.
I think if that is possible, I think that is what is causing them to dig through every female that was involved or could possibly be involved, because it could have been a person of higher power that she was dealing with, whomever this may be, because again, we do not have concrete information. But I think that's why this is being drawn out in this manner. I don't think that the women of the staff, the Celtics committee, anyone should be exposed, or it could have been her. We shouldn't have a scouting opportunity to figure out who he was having this affair with. The focus should be on why it was done. You also have to think about how long this was going on, because I will say, for us to say she was taken advantage of, or he used his power her, me, that's a little drastic, because it's like, okay, well, you have to, in some cases, most cases, if you're having an affair, you both have something to lose. Right. He was engaged and she's married, so I would think that they both agreed to this behavior. And I'm not saying it's correct. However, I think it's a stretch to say she was taken advantage of because of who he is. Because
that's what I said. I don't know, Iman, if that's if we can say that at this point. Yeah, and I think here's what I think that the Celtics probably need to do. Because they said that this is a matter of privacy, so they're not going into the specifics about what was violated, like what team policies were violated as a result of this situation, right? Because they say it's a matter, but it leaves open the door for so much speculation, so much innuendo, right? I mean, for the Boston Celtics come on record to say that it was a matter of conscience. A matter of conscience. Like I get it. Okay, affairs are damaging, they're destructive, but the way that they said that they had to intervene in this situation, the way that they had, and let's put this in a proper context, folks. Let me go back a little bit, and then Iman, I'd love to get your take. The Celtics knew about this situation for the past 2 months. But before they decided to make it public, or before they decided to make any allegations or to make any charges or to make any decisions, they hired a law firm where they asked for this law firm to do an independent investigation. And as a result of the independent investigation that was done over a 2-month period or so, that's why they said it was a months-long investigation. The law firm came back last Wednesday with their findings that there was some violations made as a result of Coach Uduke's behavior. So then Wednesday, that happened. Thursday, the Celtics came out to say, hey, this is the situation. This is the suspension. So that's how this whole situation with the Boston Celtics is trying to figure out, well, like, what the hell happened? But for the Celtics to say it's a matter of conscience, for me, and again, I don't want to add to the rumor mill, but it just seems like there was something much deeper that happened with this coach. At first, it was reported it was a consensual affair. And then it was like, oh, it was an inappropriate affair. Now, when you're talking about a matter of conscience, personally, I'm like, damn, what the coach do? Like, did he violate this woman sexually? Was there some sexual abuse? Was there? And then look, I'm not trying to put nobody on Front Street in the sense of I don't need to know the woman, right? I don't need to know her name and know her face, because if there was a level of violations, then that should be kept private. But we need to keep the facts. I mean, there needs to be something, because now everybody is speculating, right? And the Celtics haven't been kind of like hush-hush on the whole thing. And guess what? People running with it. Now you got players chiming in. Man, Matt Barnes said, man, I found out somebody said this. And, oh, man, I don't want to drop it, but it's a lot deeper than what y'all know. What the hell happened? Like, if this man did something to aggress upon this woman, I would think if there was some sort of sexual violation, sexual abuse, or some sexual violence, something, that you wouldn't just suspend him for a year. That there would be something else done, right? There would be all-out termination of his contract, something. Even though you suspended him for a year without pay. I'm still trying to put the pieces together, Iman, but I'm really concerned about the women in this whole matter. All right, go ahead, Iman. Throw it out there. What's your take?
This is a tough situation, looking from both sides, because I do think that it would be fair that they don't expose who it was exactly. However, you have other women who are part of the staff that may be getting the jabs at this as well. There could be people that are being disrespectful to them or not showing them the same kind of respect. Players could be saying all kinds of things to them. It could be women of the staff for the Celtics in general who are being preyed upon in a way, as far as being bullied maybe. You know how people start talking crazy on Twitter. They even posted a young lady, I can't remember which staff member it was, but they posted a young lady saying this is who it was that he was having an affair with, and even tried to compare and say, oh, it's okay. Nia Long gets cheated on, but cheated on with, to try to justify the actions, and they eventually say it wasn't her specifically. So it's unfair to these women that are innocent from doing anything. However, I do think they need to say, at least list who wasn't involved, because other women could be getting bullied for this. I do think
that's the thing now. If you do who wasn't involved through the process of elimination, you figure out who is involved, right? Well, but see, I mean, what do you do as the Boston Celtics, right? Do you put out this list of women and say, okay, guys, here are the list of names of women who were not involved? You don't do that.
No, the Twitter investigators are way too advanced. They'll start posting where they live at, where you may frequently see these women go. It's way too dangerous to give out all those names on that part. But at the same time,
here's the thing, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Iman. We want to know, quote unquote, folks want to know. I'm not going to say me because I don't, but folks want to know because you want to blast this woman. Because look, let me tell you, and I said this yesterday. I said this last week. When you are in America, you could do some heinous stuff outside of your profession. especially in sports. But if you're winning on the court, you winning on the field, you get a pass. Coach Udoka, first year coach, take him to the championship last year in his first season. So he's already seen as a turnaround champion coach, right? Championship coach. So he's winning. So now folks are mad. And I know how sports fans can be. Sports fans can be some of the most disrespectful group of people. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't know, this ain't, no, I mean, y'all got to keep this real. We've seen racism. We've seen sexism. We've seen misogyny. I mean, from sports fans who go so hard for their sports team, they don't give a damn about the people that's involved in the sport. As long as their team is winning, they don't give a damn about anything outside. They don't care. They don't care. And some of these sports fans go so hard, they want to punish this woman.
Yep. Yep.
They want to switch the narrative. And I think, I mean, of course, that's not right, nor is it fair. But I think that's part of the motivation. Because if the Celtics were losing, a losing squad with a losing coach, would we still be this interested in figuring out who the lady is, where she live, who she involved with? I mean,
then you have the Nia Long fans as well, who are like, yeah, let's find out who this is, and I don't want to be the one to pull the race card. However, I wouldn't be me if I didn't. I wonder if he was a white man, would this still be something that is exposed as much as it has been, even though it has been a 2-month ongoing investigation? If he was of a different color, would this still be going on the same exact way? Me personally, I don't feel as though it would, but like you said, with his success with his first year, and who it has been speculated that she, someone who's married to a chairman, to me, it's more of a, especially his punishment, is more of a emotional retaliation. On top of that, I feel as though if he had done something so heinous as far as to sexually harass her or sexually assault her, it would be way more than suspension. There would be charges pressed. It would be more than what he's receiving now. So it's being in the dark in a situation is so hard to make a concrete assessment of the situation, but it's way too many variables for this.
It's too many. It's too many. All right, let's go to some of our comments from our online culture crew, Iman. Folks are checking in. King Lee, you checked in and said, look, man, that is a long suspension. Well, it could be a long suspension, King, we don't know what he violated. Apparently, according to the owner, he violated multiple policies. He had multiple violations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from a head coach perspective, you got to think, and we all know the head coach is the face of the organization, right? But then you're and I hate to put it this way, you're the moral standard. When because you're not just leading you're not just representing the organization, you're leading the team of these young black men, most of these young men, right, that are looking at you in various capacity, might be in a father or uncle figure. They just see you as their coach. You represent a certain standard. So no, ain't a long suspension, bro. If you wrong, you wrong. If you violating that type of policy, hey, you knew what you were stepping into. Stop playing, folks. There's no way in the world this man didn't know what he was getting into. And that's the unfortunate part about it.
I do think it's still, if it was agreed upon on both parties to have this affair or whatever it was going on, he should not have a year-long suspension. Maybe half of a year.
What do you think he should have gotten?
Maybe I'll say the first half of the season, maybe, but a year long, to me, that's drastic. That's more of a, I'm upset you violated my wife, or you stepped on my toes, whatever.
Let me tell you something. As a man, you know what you're getting into. You mean to tell me if this, and again, we don't know for sure, if this woman was married to some person in the higher up in the board or in the management or leadership capacity of the team, you mean to tell me You mean to tell me that is worth losing it all? That affair, that love exchange, that little situation y'all had, that's worth it. Nah, bro.
That ain't worth the check. That ain't worth the check.
For me, it's not even about the check. It's just about you losing everything you worked so hard for. You are a black coach of the Boston Celtics. You are a winning coach so far. You have a son. You know what I'm saying? You got all of these things. You're about to get married to a legendary actress. You got all these things. You're going to risk it all. Risk it all. I mean, look, I can see if it was. Say it again.
I highly doubt he even thought of the possibility of getting out there or getting exposed, because they both had something to lose. Typically, in an affair, psychologically thinking, I'm not going to deal with someone who, if this gets out, they'll be okay, nothing's going to happen. Psychologically thinking, I would say, you know what? It needs to be even playing fields so that it's less of a risk that this will be exposed. So I don't think he thought that this would possibly happen. I lied. Maybe he did think it might possibly happen, but he probably thought
let me tell you something.
He had to think of Slim.
Iman, you and I both know there's that old principle, right? You don't crap where you eat, right?
Yeah.
That's for one. That's for one, right? If you're gonna do some dirt, don't do it so close to home.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not saying I'm trust and believe. I'm not condoning it, because I'm not. But I'm just saying you gotta think. You gotta think with the best, use the best intelligence. That if this situation, like you had to think, because we don't know, again, the details are still gone. We don't know how long this has been happening. We don't even know the details of the situation, whether she tried to break it off with him, he broke it off with her, all of those things. But the point is, you got to think. And this is, again, it's not about money. This is just about the fact that as a man, as a black man in this position, you represent so much more. And that's the part about it. Like, it's all of us, right? And even in the capacity that I work, you know what I mean? Like, everything matters, man. People look up to you. People expect greatness and excellence from you, right? And it's like and I get it. I'm not expecting you to be perfect, because nobody is. But at the same time, you got to weigh the pros and cons. You're a coach. You think mathematically, you think strategically. What's the pros and cons? If I do this with this woman, what could possibly happen? And you got to think all of the possible outcomes of this situation, all of it, because no situation like this, no affair is airtight. It's going to come through some way, shape, or form. At some point, it starts off very controlled. Iman, you and I know this, right? It starts off very controlled. We'd be like, oh, man, it's cool, man, this works. Oh, man, this is perfect. Then guess what? Human nature starts to happen.
Somebody catch those feelings a little too much.
Human nature starts to happen, and boom, I got to bring LaDawn on this joint, man. I got to bring our relationship expert with LaDawn. Because this thing is deep. It's deep, right? And then you start getting messy, and then you working together. And then there's the possibility that because you texting each other, or you meeting up with each other, and all of it, and it's not worth it. Unless that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's a lot to do. It's a lot
to do. Hey, look, we're going to do this. We're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's continue the conversation on the other side. Let's continue to share some thoughts from our online culture crew. So, folks, stay with us. More conversation up next for the next hour. Plus, we're going to talk about sexuality in the digital age, just like this situation. We're going to get more into it. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Peace and welcome back to the second hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we've been having some great convos. Make sure y'all check out the replay as we have our very special Horn report that happened today. We talked to Dr. Gerald Horn about a host of things happening in Russia and America, so y'all check that out, as well as the first half of the first part of the discussion around Coach Uduke and why there is a clamor to know who that woman is and the treatment of women during this whole chaotic situation with the Boston Celtics head coach. So we'll continue to have that conversation in a moment. But first, make sure y'all do your due diligence to continue to show your support for Black Star Network. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, where you can support us financially. You can share the content, but most importantly, you can show that you are in tune and you are in agreement with the power of Black-owned media like Black Star Network. Your donations make all the difference in the world. It is your support that keeps this engine going, and so we don't want to lose the momentum. Go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, make sure you can follow me, continue to have the conversations offline. You can go to my social media at The Real Farajii on Instagram, Farajii on Twitter, and let's continue to have the conversations about these issues and these discussions. I love chatting with you. I love learning more about you. And more importantly, I will follow you back. So make sure y'all support me and I will support you. You can go to my Instagram at The Real Farajii, as well as Farajii on Twitter and Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. All right, let's jump back into the conversation. We've been talking to Culture Crew member Iman Heath, who is an activist, an entrepreneur. She's an advocate of women's rights and a lot of other issues happening in our culture today. And we've been talking about Coach Uduke of the Boston Celtics, kind of breaking it down, having this discussion about the treatment of the female employees, the women employees that had to go under such scrutiny, who had to really just, their whole reputation has been under a microscope. And they had to go through a 36 to 48 hour period of just nonstop trying to figure out who did it. And it is absolutely humiliating and embarrassing. And my heart and prayer go out to all of the women of the Celtics organization who felt like they just did not put themselves in this position. They should not have gone through all of this. And so we want to have a conversation about this. But folks, Iman, folks have been checking in to share their thoughts on this situation. And so I want to share with you what some of our online culture crew had to say about this. Take a look at this, folks. And so many of you are checking in. Tiana, you said people want someone to hate. Instead of hating the coach, they want to humiliate the woman. Facts. Exactly. Absolutely insane.
To say she's the one who may have started or try to, like I said earlier, put the blame elsewhere rather than holding the coach accountable for his actions.
Yep. Sandy W. Tiana, thank you so much. Sandy W. checked in and said, instead of telling him about his part, they blamed the other person. And this is, and you know, it's so funny, Iman, because when we see black men in these precarious situations, that's how I'm going to describe this, a precarious situation. We often see, like, you know, there are always people within our community who say, well, why are we always trying to blast black men? White men do it too.
A light bulb just went off just now when you said that. In our culture, especially the black, this whole men will be men idea is also a part of why we need to play blues, which was, even though that doesn't really take away from his actions as well. This whole men will be men rhetoric, as you know, they'll go out and play and boys will be boys, or they might wander, but as long as they come back home, that kind of mindset, I believe, is also what is driving everyone to need to find out, be Inspector Gadget, if you will, to find out who this woman was, when, again, that part does not matter. It counts. She does need to be held accountable as well because she played a part. But that doesn't take away from this man being irresponsible, cheating, and also condoning an affair with this woman, no matter who it was. It could have been the girl that gets the water. It doesn't matter who it was. His actions still need to be held. He still needs to be held accountable for his actions, regardless.
That's it. That's all. I mean, look. As a man, I have definitely understood, you know, all of that other stuff. But at the end of the day, one of the things I've learned is, especially as I'm growing older in my manhood, you got to accept the responsibility for the things that you have done. If you've hurt people, violated anyone, you got to accept it. You just got to eat that. That's part of being an adult. That's a part of being a man. You got to eat that.
You got to stand on it.
Mm-hmm. You got to stand on it because you made that decision. Regardless of the circumstances, you didn't have to make that decision. And so, you know, I think that in spite of all of the other chatter, that man made that decision. It wasn't a good one. It wasn't beneficial. And damn sure wasn't worth it. But you made that decision. You got to eat that. For other men like us, for other men who will see in a situation unfold, this is a cautionary tale. Like, when we decide to not just talking about cheating, but when we decide to do something that may be a threat to our livelihood, to our relationships, and we move forward in doing it, guess what we got to do? We got to eat that. Mm-hmm. You just got to eat it. You know what I'm saying? If Sister Nia don't take that man back, can't blame it on her. Well,
and then she moves closer to you, and 2 weeks later, this has been going on for 2 months prior to being exposed. Like, it's. If I was Nia, all right, ain't no way.
I mean, and look, and if she decides to take him back, that's her decision. That's their relationship.
Very true.
You see what I'm saying? We can't impose our view on somebody else's relationship. It's just that simple.
All I'm saying is disregard me and my well-being, and disregard the convenience or inconvenience there was for me to move here to be closer to you. I'm only here for you, and considering our 2 children, like you said, who look up to you, and you're this person, that person to them, ain't no way. But I do wish them the best outcome, however this could be, if there is a best outcome for this. But
I don't know. I'm interested to see what the outcome is. Again, I'm not removing responsibility from the woman either, because, you know, who said it? And I'm looking at folks they're checking in. You're right. It takes 2 to tango, Aaron Smith. It takes 2 to tango. He wasn't in an affair by himself. So she got to take the responsibility. What I'm concerned about is you don't treat other women who had nothing to do with this, and you start putting them on blast. I think that's the part of the culture. We're losing our boundaries here.
Right.
We're losing our sense of of humanity in a sense, right? Like we're losing our sense of privacy. Like this is a hard situation. Like, you know, any type of high profile individual got to put out a statement, please give us the space. And why do you have to even say that? Because why? Because we don't respect people's boundaries no more in our culture. We don't care. We don't care about your loss. We don't care about your pain.
Very true.
We just got this insatiable desire to feed on somebody else's misery. We don't care. We really don't care. We really don't care.
Like you said,
and people say, well, no, we do care. We just trying to look out for her best interest. Nobody can look out for nobody's best interest other than the person themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if she say, hey, can y'all just give us our time and our space? Need to move on from that. Don't be like trying to advocate for Nia. She don't need to be advocated for. She's a grown woman that can explain and say things herself. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. That's how crazy our culture gets. And when women are at the center of a situation, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, Iman, because it's like y'all go through so much, and it'd be like just the bullshit. It's just crazy, and we really don't. And it's not really about the woman that's involved. It's about our desire to just wanting to know and get up in somebody's business. It ain't about, oh, we want to make sure that the women. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't care a damn about some of these women. It ain't even like that.
And like you said last week, we forget celebrities are humans too. We put them on this pedestal that we have to be this fighting champion for them. Like we said with Nicki Minaj fans, the Barbs, how hard they go, the Beehive, how hard they go on people as far as social media. So it's that part as well. We look at these people as we idolize them. You know, Nia Long, she's a classic actress. So you have her team of people rallying behind her. Oh, we're standing up for her. No, like you said, Farajii, she's grown. She can express and make her statements on her own. She doesn't need us to follow through who it was, who it could have been. And again, like you said, we violate people's privacy. Why would you put someone's home address, put someone where someone may go to the gym to, I guess, give more exposure to a already horrible situation? We take matters into our own hands for what? That's not your mom. That's not your dad. That's not a close relative. This celebrity thing that we have as humans, I like we've been saying for weeks, it's we got to draw a line somewhere. We have to draw a line. This is a man that has just found out her fiance has been cheating on her.
Yeah.
Take the celebrity out of it. Think just from a human scale. How would you feel? You want a team of people looking for the woman, whoever it may be. You have to look at it from a human perspective. She's a celebrity, yes. She's famous, yes. However, we don't need to be the police in this situation. This is not that.
Absolutely. Let me hear from Karen Connor. Karen, you checked in. Good to hear from you, Karen. You said the staffer and the coach both knew the consequences of committing adultery. Both of them are equally at fault. They need to clear the names of innocent women who were not involved. Well, that's on the Boston Celtics. Now, you know what I mean? Like the Boston Celtics should have put some measures in place to ensure that these other women weren't victimized as a result of their colleague doing something crazy.
Take the fall because you want to slip up at work. That's not fair.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's not fair at all. It's not fair at all. So you're great. You're right on point, Karen, with that. Jeannie, you checked and you said it's 2022. Why people still messy? They wanted to get caught because they could have got with anyone else who was a lesser liability if it was just for sex. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Okay? I think if he would have dealt with someone with less stature, I feel like that's a higher risk. I feel like that would have been.
I can see that.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a two month investigation. Like
I can see that.
TMZ, hey y'all, I got some news.
Got some dirt. Woo!
Yeah, she'd have got paid for it.
I'm telling you, that is very true. I can see that. That's what happened with Adam Levine of Maroon 5.
Mm-hmm.
She went on and she just. So yeah, I could. If you decide to go in that direction, folks, trust and believe. I am not condoning it. But if you decide to do that, you better deal with somebody that's got a lot to lose just as much as you do.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was saying.
If the person that you're dealing with ain't got a lot to lose, you got everything to lose, they got nothing to lose. No, bruh.
Think about it. You're already not thinking, but let's like try to think a little bit. Like even playing field.
Nah. Hey, L. Duncan, you checked in. I'm interested to hear from what you said, L. Duncan. You said this could have been a good discussion, but you and the panel are not dealing in the facts of the situation. Love your show, but you guys have been off base. L. Duncan, I would love to hear.
Yeah,
I would love to know what do you think we're off base about, because this is just an element of this larger situation. Again, I'm not trying to get into no man's bedroom. That's not my place, and nor do I have any interest of it. But I'm talking about how women are treated in these situations. I'm particularly how these women, if you're seeing that the treatment of women employees of the Boston Celtics, there are a number of women who are like, this is not fair to them. And I thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to talk about this. This is not to relieve the staff persons from any blame or responsibility. Yeah, she's definitely one to blame along with the coach. But everybody else all these other women shouldn't have to go through that. So L. Duncan, please respond. Let me know. What do you think we are missing? What is off base about this part of the conversation?
Yeah.
I'm interested. Conscious thought, you checked and you said there are too many unknown variables at play here for anyone to make assumptions or draw conclusions. And here's what I'm thinking. Y'all will hear the reality of this. We may never know all of the details. And guess what? By the time we do know all the details, something else is going to be going on. We ain't going to want to talk about it. And you know why? Because that's the way the culture is right now. For certain stories like this, if you don't talk about it, dissect it, try to analyze it, try to have conversations about it, try to take some lessons to learn from it, right now while it's happening, you ain't going to come back to it because it's not going to be of interest. That's not how it goes. Nobody's going to come back to a story 2 months later and be like, so let's talk about Coach Uduke and what happened. Nobody's going to, you're not going to, you'll be like, that's all. We already talked about that. You got it. And I mean, I know that might not sound good or that might not be right, but at the end of the day, that's how news work. That's how the cycles work. When these things come up, we talk about it as much as we can based on the information that we have. And then we try to make the best assessment, try to glean from the most noteworthy lessons. But then after a while, it's like, all right, it is what it is. Because guess what? Y'all say this is important. A lot of people are still talking about this. Once it stops trending, once it kind of dies down, then guess what's going to happen? We move on to the next thing. Iman, what's your take on that?
I agree about who did. It's about how these women who are innocent are being treated in the situation. That's what it's about. That is the basis of the conversation. So I do think that it is not fair. And again, it's a hard situation to be in because, again, you don't want the woman who was involved, you don't want her to be another Monica Lewinsky situation where it's just her, blame. We don't want that. But at the same time, we don't want these other women who are innocent to have to catch this wrath as well. So it's a tough situation. But either way, everybody has to be held accountable. And you just got to take with the consequence of your actions.
Norman C. Jones, you checked in and said, Farajii, I only have one issue with all of this. Why didn't it have to become public? If he broke the rule of the company and they chose to fire or suspend him, whatever they choose, why publicize it? I don't know.
I mean, it would look kind of funny when you turn on the TV and you don't see the Celtics hit. It's like, all right, so what happened?
So you go to another Boston Celtics game, next thing you know, you don't see Coach Uduke. Then you go to another game, you're like, wait a minute, dog. What happened to Coach?
Yeah.
So you do got to kind of, again, this is the culture. You got to get in front of your own story to tell your side of the story before somebody else does, right? That's what we talk about with Black media in general, Norman. that if you see something coming down the pipe that's related to you or some friends or your company or whatever the case may be, it's better for you to tell your side of the story before the internet does.
Because the internet will make
before
up
social media does. Because guess what?
Yeah.
Once they tell your story, then now you got to rebuke what they said about your story, and then you try to. It's too much, and we can act like let's keep this real. And I think this is the other part about it, Iman. We can act as if we're dealing with rational people on social media. we act like we're dealing with people who really do care about the truth.
This is rational.
Look, let's keep this 100, folks. We don't care about the truth, right? Because if we cared about the truth, the country would be in a lot better place. We don't really care about the truth. Then we're not rational people as much as we like to think we are. We always think, no, I'm thinking logical. I'm rational. Yeah, you're rational. But look, and if everybody is thinking that way, then why is the condition of human beings in the country the way it is? If we're all rational, logical, well-thinking people. But we're going through all of this stress and trauma. Why? The celebrity culture has gotten to a point where we can't even differentiate fact from fiction. Right? People are living vicariously through celebrities. We put more on those in front of us. We put more value on those in front of us than we do ourselves. Does this sound like people who are in a place to differentiate or who are able to really, handle things? And this is why talking heads, this is why social media has grown in such popularity, because people are telling their sides of the story. People are contextualizing what we're seeing in front of us. And so we have to kind of like navigate through all of this. I don't want to go too crazy, but I'm just letting folks know, like, take a look, step back from the culture, step back and look at our culture. And I'm saying particularly for Black folks, we have these conversations in barbershops, beauty salons. We have these conversations amongst ourselves and friends and all of that stuff. And then we get out to social media. And the fact is that a lot of times, Iman, we have these ideas in our head, but we put them on social media. And the moment we get some pushback, somebody's like, no. Then we get into our little silos. Then we start, oh, no, y'all wrong. Maybe they're not. But the checks and balances within our culture when it comes to certain things is just non-existent. And that's what I'm saying.
We take celebrities' problems personal. We take what a celebrity goes through personal. It's like, let's think about what if your close friend was in this situation. A girl was sleeping with the CEO and she's now being dragged on Twitter. Would you want that for her? No. Would you want that for one of your parents? Brother, sister, cousin, aunt? No. So again, this celebrity mindset, that they're humans. They're people just like you. My basketball coach say all the time, those girls put on their underwear just like you do. They're people just like us. So we have to take away the glitz and the glam and look at them for who they are. They are humans. We all make mistakes. Yes, it happens, but you can't take this upon yourself and make it a personal thing. It didn't happen to you.
Right.
You weren't engaged in the alone. This is not your personal situation.
Yeah. Rock Academy, you said, have the woman in the middle admitted to her actions, no one would be making assumption about other women. That may be true, but then she opened herself up to great scrutiny, a lot of trolling. I mean, Iman, would you want, if you were in the middle of a situation like this, would you come out publicly and make a statement?
Probably not. I probably would try to avoid the spotlight as much as possible. But again, you put on your big girl drawers, you got to deal with the big girl consequences. You can't play big and be like, oh no, wait a minute, but I wasn't ready for this. It's coming. You made that decision. When you lay down, well, not laid down, whatever y'all did, whether it was text, phone calls, dates, y'all went to Dave and Buster's together, whatever the capacity may be, you knew what you were getting yourself into. So it's I can see why she wouldn't come out publicly, but at the same time, you got to deal with what you did. You did it.
Right.
Right. What you did.
Hey, Jayla, you checked in, Jayla Woods. You said, how much money did social media news outlets, entertainment news make money off of this issue, this subject on this man and this woman? They might have made a lot because there is an industry called gossip that is a booming industry in this country. More people are tuned into gossip news outlets than they are to the actual news. Right. TMZ, what they did. I know back in the day it was like Perez Hilton, and then there was any gossip, any rumors. Now, some of the stuff might be actually true, but once it gets into those spaces, then it becomes like, and you can go to your favorite website. And I know y'all sisters, y'all got your legitimate website, then y'all go to your favorite website. And I know you got yours, Iman, of where you get your news, because you ain't tuning into CBS and CNN and Fox, and you know what I mean? You're not going into these institutions. You're going to where it's more opinionated news.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
You know what I'm saying? You're going into where it's opinionated news. So you're going to news that fits your bias, that fits your view of the world. You're not going to news that's going to challenge your view of the world. And that's just human nature, right? So we're that's the space that we're in with our culture. So yeah, this is a booming business to talk about other people's business, to institutionalize. Let's take it a further. Let me just share this very quickly as we wrap up this part of the conversation. We're talking about institutionalizing gossip. Back in the streets, back in the day, back in the neighborhood, you talked about somebody behind their back, they'll come back to you. It's one way. Now, institutionalized gossip. That's what we're dealing with. Facebook, Twitter, all of these other little social media platforms, we love to gossip. And it's institutionalized. It's you get money for it. If you got the tea, if somebody got the tea before somebody else, then they going straight on the social media. Like, yeah, so here's what I heard, y'all. And you got people that don't even know.
And they
don't even know. I mean, there's people, it's crazy. Even with this situation, people are like, I know what really happened. How the hell you know what happened, man? You don't work for the Celtics. You don't know Coach DJ. You don't even know the women involved. How the hell you know? But gossip. That's the institution. That's the industry we're talking about here, Jayla. You know what I'm saying? So, and if we don't like to see how this is playing out, then we can make some different decisions about how we respond to our culture. We can. We just gotta have the will to do it. But we will see how this situation plays out, Iman. Again, my heart and prayer go out to those women who were just blasted, personal information put on blast, that didn't have anything to do involved with this situation. And I feel like more information is going to come out. So we will have to see how this thing plays out. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's continue to have the conversation. Stay with us. We got a lot to get to right here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning back into the culture here on the Black Star Network. All right, for our final conversation, I wanted to have a discussion about Black culture and predominantly white spaces. And this is one of the trending conversations that's happening right now, where the dance team, the majorette troupe, the dance troupe for the University of Southern California is under scrutiny and some level of criticism as a result of their display of Black culture at a PWI. Take a look at this here, folks, and I want us to really think about this. The Griot reported this, where the dance troupe there at USC had in their Fresno, when USC, the Trojans battled the Fresno State University, they had a dance troupe, an all Black dance troupe representing USC that came out and did their thing, killing the game. And Keenan, when you get a chance, let's see if we can pull up the video tweet of that demonstration. But here's what's happening. Why are so many people bothered by the new Black majorette squad at USC? This came out of the Griot, where they posted this video where Princess Isis Lang, who is the choreographer and the one who started this all Black dance majorette squad, posted to her own Twitter account, went viral and was met with mixed reactions. While there were many who praised her efforts to bring and celebrate Blackness in a predominantly white space, there were others who criticized the dance troupe, with some going so far as to say she was stealing Black culture, which I don't understand, because as a Black woman, you can't steal Black culture. Take a look. This is just a picture. Keenan, let me know if we can pull up the tweet that Princess Isis Lang tweeted of this group. And you can already see, folks, for if you're not familiar with HBCUs and how HBCUs roll when it comes to their dancing and dance squad, they bring it. They bring it. They bring that heat. They bring the funk. They bring it. So we want to pull up this tweet, but I want to bring back Iman on this as we look at this. And I think it brings up a great question that I wanted to ask you and to our online culture crew. Should we bring Black culture to PWIs, to predominantly white institutions? Should there be that representation of us when we are in the college experience outside of the HBCU? What's your take on that, Iman? Wait a minute, let me see this. Take a look at this, y'all. Take a look. Keenan, let's turn this up. Oh yeah, okay. So y'all see the movements there. That don't look like, there we go. Okay. Them sisters are rocking. Look at that. Look at that. All right. So there we go. There we go. You first and foremost, you want to wash your face like that.
Like I was over here like this. I said, let me get it back. Let me get it together.
Let me get it together. Like, okay.
I see what y'all doing.
Hey, Iman, you had that. It's like, it's go time.
That's what I felt in my chest. My question
it's go
is,
time. Some sisters about to, we about to go there. It's on. It's on.
Sprinkle some cinnamon sugar and flavor over there to these PWIs. My question is, why not? What is the issue? Are we concerned to make them uncomfortable? Are we concerned that the way our culture is portrayed, they'll take it the wrong way? But that comes with part of owning our culture.
No, it does. It comes apart with a lot owning our culture. And the criticism is not necessarily coming from white people. It's coming from Black people who feel like that this certain things should go out outside of the boundaries.
What's the boundary? What is
HBCU? HBCU. You see what I'm saying? Like, should we bring this level of dance? Should we bring this level of cultural expression to PWIs? Should we keep this close to home?
Again, why would it be something to gatekeep? It's a part of our culture. It shouldn't matter where we are or who we are in front of. If this is and I'm sure there are Black women who go to USC who would love to be a part of a majorette team. So what's the issue? Cheerleading is everywhere. Cheerleading isn't just something PWIs do. So being a majorette dancer has become a recreational thing as well. I'm sure we've all heard of DD4L, the Dancing Dolls. I believe they're in Mississippi. They've been on TV on Lifetime for years now. We watch them girls graduate, go to college, and they do their thing there. So what is there to gatekeep? What is there to take home? Are we worried that there will be white women who try to emulate what we do?
It could be.
That
could be.
Yeah, we always have that risk. Like Kim Kardashian with them braids. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Right.
Her with them braids, you did wrong. So I get that. But at the same time, I think it would be better for us to showcase who we are, no matter where we are. We shouldn't gatekeep this.
No, I don't think we should gatekeep. And I want to pull up Janine's point. Janine L., you checked in. Good to hear from you, Janine. You made this point, and I think this is a valid statement. You said, from what I can see, the white folks in the background might be mad they can't keep up. But then you also made another point. That's very true. They might be mad on that. You let me see if I can find this here, because Janine, you said something. Okay, yeah. You said, Janine, okay, I think the concern from some Black folks might be if it's brought to PWI, then Black folks won't need to go to an HBCU for that experience.
Then that makes me feel like, is that all a HBCU has? Like, is that all we're saying? Are we saying?
I don't know. I think it's not that all HBCUs have. I think it's a huge part of the experience, though. You know what I'm saying? That cultural expression is a part of our HBCU experience. Very and true. So it's like maybe if it's starting to spill over into these predominantly white institutions, predominantly white spaces, that it does. Do you think it will weaken, or it will take something from the HBCU experience?
Nothing will be like HBCU experience. I think it's more of a PWI be culturally Black. You can never get that Blackness from a predominantly white institution. Keyword predominantly. So there will never be HBCU flavor at a PWI, no matter what program you have there. It's not going to happen. I'm looking at it from a perspective of be Black, loud, and proud. That's the perspective I'm looking at it. I do understand where it could be a risk that, you know, like I said, it could be taken and whitewashed. I do understand that risk. However, I definitely think we should be loud and proud about who we are and our culture is. And again, this could also be a part of something other girls who are at these predominantly white schools may feel included, or may feel like they're a part of the school maybe, or this could be a segue to help them be more comfortable where they are. So I think it'll help rather than hurt.
Yeah. And let me just say, PWIs can benefit from Black culture, from cultural expressions, right? You know, not just from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint, but like for USC, it's still predominantly white, but they do have a lot of cultures. But the thing is like, we're still in a time right now, Iman, where Black culture has to constantly be asserted and redefined, and to be, in order to be seen as valuable, right? And if you go to these major in schools like USC or UCLA or NYU or whatever the case may be, I mean, everybody can benefit from learning and understanding our cultural expression. The thing is, what part of our cultural expression do we want to showcase in white spaces versus those we want to keep in Black spaces? Because, and here's why I'm asking that. We already know white people love hip hop. White men love hip hop, right? White men listen to hip hop and they hear it. They hear the Black man calling a woman the B word. They hear Black men calling other Black men the N word. That's the cultural expression. So do we want to start to put that into, allow that to spill over? It's already there, but do we want to kind of assert that? Or do we want to show a different side of our cultural expression? That's what I'm thinking, that the conversation probably has to go into a place where we're at a point where I feel like we kind of lost control of our culture. So now white people are exposed to the good and the bad of who we are. And I don't know, and I invite people to check me and to share your thoughts on this, because even in the dancing, you can do it where you got a bunch of Black girls twerking. They listening to Glorilla and Cardi while they doing their joint, right? While they during the halftime show.
You just had to say those names, but go ahead.
I'm saying that's what the sisters are listening to right now. That's what y'all listening to. Glorilla and Cardi.
Go ahead and raise my hand. I'm not a Glorilla fan.
Y'all FNF and y'all tomorrow, y'all FNF and tomorrow. I hear you. I got you. I'm feeling you, right? Y'all could be in that space. Is that something that we want to expose? We want to show to while we're in white spaces? I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm posing questions that I don't have all the answers to. I'm just saying we need to figure out, like, what part of our culture should we say, okay, we need to put this in a culture, or can we even do that?
But when you ask those kind of questions, my question is, like, what part of our culture, or at least majorette dancing, are we ashamed of? Like, usually when we want to keep something in the closet, it's because if this get out, it's gonna look bad. What are we ashamed of when it comes to majorette dancing? Or that part of our culture? What, other than it being whitewashed, as a lot of part of our cultures they try to do, but other than that, what are we scared of? What are we concerned with? What are we afraid of? I don't see.
Here's a concern. Can I throw out a concern?
Please.
Are we, and I think this is a very real concern. And I know people going to kind of push back on this, but it is what it is. It's the culture. Can the concern truly be that we are sexualizing the Black woman in some of our dances and cultural expression? That we're over-sexualizing the Black woman. And when we're over-sexualizing the Black woman, that may put us at risk, the Black woman at risk, to be violated by white men.
I can understand that perspective. And this is when, and I'm not saying you personally, but this is where culturally, our ignorance, we gotta learn some things. So I'm gonna take it back home to Africa, the homeland.
Yeah.
There are specific dances, and I hate the fact I don't remember the exact name of them, but there are specific African dances that basically has a woman twerking it in some kind of way, and it's a chant that comes with it as well. So shaking your behind is not something that Miley Cyrus just made popular or made it okay for us to do.
Sure.
It's been a part of our culture before we even got over here. So I do see what you're saying, though. I completely understand. But for us, the Black people who are in the culture, twerking is not something new. Twerking is something that they doing back home when they're cooking and washing the clothes. I've seen plenty of videos and clips, and even have read about it when I was learning about the Dahomey tribe when Black Panther first came out. So it's more than just sex. It's not a. We've turned it into a thing where we're sexualizing those movements. We're sexualizing when they buck, when they get real low and start moving. Them knees,
Right.
though. Just say, bless
Right.
them, bless the baby knees, okay? But it's not. We've turned into a sexualized type of thing. The culture turned into a sexualized kind of thing. So I do agree with that concern, but no, we've been twerking since before we got here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Sandy W checked in and said, by the way, remember when a white step group was entering step shows with HBCUs? Now that's on the other side of it. If you're doing a step show at an HBCU, can a white step group join the dance, join the demonstration? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know.
I
don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, how do we, and I mean, I'm saying for cultural expression, part of me, and this is my dilemma, y'all tell me, part of me is like, yeah, y'all should know what our cultural expression is, because guess what? Y'all may be able to learn something. You may be able to understand something. Maybe you will get a better, get something like, just giving you a better understanding of who we are. The resilience, the beauty, the creativity, all of those things, the good things about it. But then there's another part of me is like, hey man, we're not doing this for y'all. You know what I mean? Like, this is not for you. This is our expression. This is who we are. And just like you have your expression on doing things, we're going to have our expression. And if we don't agree, okay, that's fine. But don't try to make it seem as if our expression is less valuable or not as worthwhile as your expression. And that's the dilemma I'm having. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we can buck hard, but then at the same time, it's like, no, we do need to be in these spaces. I really believe that. I really believe that we do need to be in these spaces, whether it's at USC or any other predominantly white school. Black folks need to show up every time we walk on the campus, walk in the classroom, walk in the door. We need to show that we're here. That's what we're doing. That's what other people are doing around this country, whether you're talking about Latinos, whether you're talking about Asians, whether you're talking about LGBTQIA. These folks are saying no longer are we going to sit in the back, no longer. And guess what? A lot of that came from the struggle of Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like we taken the hit for a lot of other groups of people to step forward. We've taken that hit. And I'm not saying that from a racist or a supremacy, poisoned mind or heart. I'm just looking at how history has gone. Like we had to take a hit, man. There couldn't be, and I don't think there could be any real discussion about cultural expression for other people, because Black people, we've been trying to assert and try to show this country and the various institutions of this country that we have something to offer. And companies in particular, Wall Street, Madison Avenue, Hollywood, they have all benefited from Black culture in some way, shape, or form.
everything you see comes from Black culture, like rock and roll, jazz, R&B, soul music, gospel music. We done added some cinnamon and sugar to that too. Like we and what I had to learn from being a part of the culture crew. I may not be patriotic, however, this is our country. Like it's more than just what we show, but we have to also remember we are, in a sense, America. The style of how girls are doing their hair, this baby hair epidemic, that we can start there. The trendy ways we wear certain things, or how we certain words we say, our slang, like we all would keep this, I'm going to say, company/country running. It's more than just majorette dancing and marching bands and HBCU glory. Like we are the culture of America, period. Now, has some of our pieces been tainted and changed and twisted? Sure. However, it all boils down back to the root, which is us, regardless.
Do you think that there's the fear is that, and I'm saying the fear that some white people may have, is that if you open the door to a majorette J-stepping dance group like these sisters, that now the floodgates are going to be open in other spaces, right? And for other forms of Black cultural expression. Do you think that that's part of the fear? And that fear just kind of been resonating where Black folks are like, you know how we get sometimes, we be like, man, don't talk about certain things around.
Yeah. I can see fear for a white person, sure, that, oh my God, the Black people are taking up even more of our space, or they're trying to display more of who they are. They're taking up more of what we could be doing. Oh yeah, it's definitely that in America, in politics, even across the board, it's a fear that we are going to exceed them, which even systematically, it just can't happen at this time. So that's a genuine feeling for them, sure. But for us, I do understand where it's like, okay, some things need to be kept exclusive because it can turn into something that isn't ours. It doesn't belong to us. When it comes to a sense of belonging, majorette dancing, yes, that belongs to us. So I can understand it being a fear, like, damn, to be another thing that they can just take and run with, and we'll have to just roll with the punches with it. I get that part. But other than that, I don't see why we would be fearful. But oh yeah, we will take up more space. They're gonna be worried as hell, Farajii. When they hear how those drums, if it even spills over to the point where they're now teaching a different notes and note combinations when it comes to the drummers, so they will be able to dance to certain songs. Right. Oh yeah, it's not gonna be scared as hell. What is all that bass over there, huh? The snares a little too loud for them, Farajii. Oh yeah.
I agree with you. Serious Heart checked in and said, if Black students that attends games at PWI, a dance team like this can make up for representation that was overlooked by USC leadership. Yeah. Yeah. I like that, Serious Heart. And I think that even for us, we should push the envelope on what representation means, right? Like, it's not just having a Black dance team. Like, that's okay, that's good. But when I think of representation, I'm talking about across the board. I'm talking about the
requirement rather than an elective. Make my requirement rather than making it a choice that, oh, maybe if I'm interested, I'll go look at it. That's
man, look, check this out. Check this out. USC, right here in the center of Los Angeles. Here's the thing. If Latino sisters came together and did their own dance troupe, where they did something from their culture, right? Whether salsa or the merengue or whatever, cultural expression they want to use. Do you think there will still be a lot of talk about this?
No. Nope. Because they aren't, and this is not to, talk down upon my brown brothers and sisters. However, we are the mold and the model from which everything comes from. if they do something, it'll be okay. That's just a rendition, I guess, of how melanated people express themselves. You know, we got the rhythm. We usually have black and brown. We usually are connected more to the rhythm than our counterparts do. So it'll just be, to me, another part of our branch, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'd be as much of a big deal because, again, black, when it comes to being black, anything we do to take up white space is going to be a problem.
Right. Right. Let me hear Sandy W. You checked in and said Ohio State mimics FAMU band moves for years. I'm not familiar. I didn't know that. I haven't watched Ohio State in their band moves. So if that's the case, Sandy, wow. Wow. I wonder what the response is from that. Bugs 8200, you say they don't do it to understand, they do it to steal it and commercial it for their gains. Yeah. Yeah. If it's trending. Hey, y'all, I'm going back to what I said some time ago. I said being black is trendy. Being a black woman is trending.
Right. Agreed. Like for that example, what he said, when dashikis were all of a sudden this extremely popular thing for us to wear. Rainbow, the clothing store Rainbow has two white, I believe one of them is Jewish owners. Dashikas were all in the racks at Rainbow.
Damn.
Because we can now make them some money. It's I am a black queen or my black is beautiful, all of this stuff. But y'all don't really support that. That's not what y'all support.
Right.
So that's
absolutely. That's a great point. Conscious Thought, you checked in. Bugs 8200. Thank you so much. Conscious Thought, you said, I think it is the appropriation. They want our rhythm, but not our blues / awareness. Conscious
for me.
Woo! They want our rhythm, but not our blues, baby. Come on, Conscious Thought. They don't want the struggle. They don't want the struggle.
Do you want the glitter, but you don't want to march with me when it comes to having rights.
You want the crown, but you don't want to carry that cross, baby. Woo!
Farajii, don't get me started, please. Please, Farajii. We even got that kind of
that's for my pastor brother Damon. They want the cross. They want the crown, but they don't want to carry that cross, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You want the crown. You want the crown of being this resilient, strong, self-independent, a group of people who don't give up. You want that. But the cross, the struggle, the hatred, the self-hatred, the pain, right? The questioning of whether you are valuable because of your black skin. Now, we can all say on this show, on this platform, we might all say, oh no, I love being black, but you can't tell me at some point in your growth, in your development, in your life, you were questioning, like, damn, why is my blackness being punished? We all have gone through it, right? We all asked ourselves, like, God, seriously, why are we being punished like this? So we want that crown, but that cross. We want that rhythm, but those blues. That's the thing. That's the thing. And the moment we start to embrace all of us, all of that encompass us, that's when we get into another level of consciousness, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the moment we say, you know what? Nah, I want it all. I accept it all. That's the part for me. You know what I mean? Even for black folks, because we run away from the cross. We run away from the blues. We don't want nothing to do with that, right? We run away from the hood. We run away from the South. Nah, man, I ain't going back to the South unless it's Atlanta.
Yeah, black folks love Atlanta. Atlanta is Black Hollywood.
You know what I'm saying? But I ain't going back to the sharecropping. I ain't going back to no land. I'm not doing that. But you know what I'm saying? And as a result of that pursuit of money, status, and all of those other things, there's a part of us that's still missing. And so, that's the pain and challenge. I always thought very quickly as we close out, but I always thought it was interesting that as much as we love the hip hop music and you know, and we love, you know, you got a lot of rappers that are turning over the new leaf and talking about how we killing one another, especially the older ones, you know what I mean? We killing one another through the music and all of that stuff. But we love, we were eating that food of killing one another, destroying one another, and all of that for years.
Selling drugs to each other for years.
Selling drugs to each other. The whole
your homie
nine.
to get wrong. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? So we don't, but now we're getting older and we understand like the culture is dying as a result of that. And more importantly, our people are suffering. The next generation of suffering. You don't want to, who wants to raise another generation of strippers and drug dealers? Who wants that? That's the future of Black people in this country, strippers and drug dealers? Like that, when you think about it like this stuff is serious. So, you know, when we talk about being in white spaces, it's like, how are we coming in those spaces? Are we coming in the spaces of strippers and drug dealers and ballers? Are we coming in them spaces ready to take over in leadership? You know what I'm saying? We know. And see, the thing is, people act like Black people, we know we can dance, we can sing, we can play ball, we can do all that. And the world knows that. I think the biggest thing is, do we really see the other side of that? Because that's the rhythm. Mm-hmm. But what is going to be coming out of our blues? Who are we after the struggle? And that's the hard part. And that's the part that we're still kind of figuring out. Like, who are we even after the struggle? Because strippers and ball players and drug dealers is not our future, man. Damn, it got real quiet on this joint real quick, man. we having cultural conversations, and so sometimes it gets to this space, man. Like if we can't question some things about ourselves, and this is why I even have the show. Like as much as you can hear talking heads and people are talking, you know, this is not about talking at you, folks. This is about having conversations with you. So as much as we talk about all these things outside of us, we can't negate that a lot of this starts from the inside. And if we can't take those necessary steps to relieve the pain and to relieve there's so much that is going on in the inside, if we can't talk about that, what's the purpose of talking about culture, man? Like, I mean,
we need these conversations to be able to evolve. We need these conversations to be able to grow from them. It's not a, you know, Black people, y'all doing this and y'all doing that. No, like we said, we discuss our issues and problems within the culture so that we can correct it. So it won't be another thing that they can throw at us. Oh, those Black people over there are doing this now. Oh, those Black people up to this again. I do agree. The way our music is taking us, or how our culture is, what we celebrate as being the culture, the route is taking us is not a good one. I definitely agree. Would you promote more violence and being this hard up, angry kind of person, especially women? Being so hard and tough all the time is the way to go. I promise you, it's not. It's tiring. That's not even our position to be in. The men are supposed to lead, and the men should be the one to be the pillars in our communities and such. But you know, I won't get started on that part, Farajii, because you know I can go for days.
I know you can go. I know you can go. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's just good to have these conversations with you, and I appreciate all of the folks that are tuned in today, because I mean, you know, if we are not discussing this, and look, there should be no boundaries on how far we should have these conversations, especially on a platform like Black Star Network. If we can't talk to Black people about Black people for the benefit of Black people on this network, then we ain't got no chance.
Yeah, this is our space.
This is our space, man. This is literally our space.
This is grandma's house. This is grandma's house. Put it in perspective.
Grandma's house. This the barbershop, and we got the beauty salon in the same space. Like, this is our space. And as conscious as we all are, and I mean, so many of people who tune in each and every day, so many of you are already conscious. You already know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just taking this message and just keep pushing it, because there are forces that are against us, and they have intensified over these years. But in the last couple of years, y'all see it. There are forces that are trying to destroy us, especially the young, especially the next generation coming up behind us. And Iman is not an old woman by any stretch of the imagination, but she can see, like, damn, man, I'm just barely getting out of this certain space, because now what's coming behind us is like straight ignorance, straight uncertainty, don't know who they are, don't want to know who they are, don't have a connection to history. You know what I'm saying? Can't give you they can't provide you a context on the world, all of these things. And that's coming up from the babies.
Yeah.
That's the babies. So if that's the baby state of mind, then what does our future look like? And guess what? The enemy of our rise, they know that. That's why they put it into us when we're babies. They know that. So we got to do our due diligence as the civilized, as the ones who know, as the conscious ones. We got to do our due diligence to make sure that the babies don't fall victim to it, and we don't lose no more for the older folks. Because some of these older folks need to be checked.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm telling you, we need to be checked for real.
Yeah, they gotta. You aren't a part of them, because I would say you have more of an open mind. But a lot of how these baby boomers carry how we should be and how we should conduct things, and no, don't say anything, no, don't fight this, don't fight that. To hell with that. I'd say fight whatever's oppressing us, whatever way it is. Fight against it. Don't be fearful of the consequences. I'm not saying go to your job and cuss out all the white people. I'm not saying that. However, don't be afraid to go against the grain. Because if we don't, then who will? They target our babies, who are the most impressionable, and they give us more and more things to at least hate each other or put us against each other, which we need to not be doing.
Right.
But I could go for days.
We could go for days. Hey, Iman, I appreciate you. I can go as well, but I got to go. So we appreciate you for checking in as always. Thank you so much, sis. Anything that you want to bring up as any upcoming events, things that you're doing, things that we need to keep our eyes on, say any type of research, y'all just know that Iman does extensive research on a lot of different things. So I want her to do more to bring into the conversation, but let us know if there's anything you want us to know about Iman, anything that you want to share at this point.
What I would like for us to continue to keep on social media is this conversation about Brett Favre, the NFL quarterback who was stealing money from those on welfare to help build his daughter's volleyball stadium. They're not talking about that, but we can talk about what the Celtics coach is doing as a black man. But let's not forget what they did to Michael Vick with fighting dogs, how he was on ESPN for a week. So let's keep that spotlight on that white man for his wrongdoings as well.
That's a blessing. I know folks have been like, Farajii, you ain't talking about Brett Favre yet. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, Brett Rowland has been covering that situation, but we can talk about it. I'm keeping my eyes out on it. Shame. It's a damn shame. Absolutely shame. But guess what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Iman,
that's all.
That's all?
That's all I got.
That's all good. Iman Heath checking in as always on Tuesdays. Y'all can check her out here on The Culture. Iman, who's an entrepreneur and an activist and an advocate. We appreciate you. Thank you for being so good for The Culture, Iman. We appreciate and love you so much. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, sir. I'll see y'all then.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. I thank each and every one of you. I want to first thank my team, Joel, Shannon, King Keenan, Ariel. Thank you for making it happen today. Also, big shout out to my control room, who was always doing their job, always doing the right thing, making sure that the broadcast comes across smoothly. And of course, I need to thank you, my online culture crew. Thank you all so much. Man, we've been getting into some real good conversations. And guess what, folks? It's as long as, and I think Conscious thought you made this point, bro, we can disagree. We ain't got to be disagreeable. Y'all hear me? We can disagree, but we ain't got to be disagreeable, because I truly want to believe, and I truly believe that at the end of the day, each one of us wants us to be in a better place of mind. So, you know, if you don't agree with the conversation, that's fine. If you don't agree with some of the topics, that's fine. That's why we have the open forum of the culture crew, online culture crew. But let's not be disagreeable. At the end of the day, we all want to get to a better place. We want to get to making sure that Black folks and our culture is intact. We want to make sure that there's something left for the babies coming behind us. And we want to make sure that our future is bright. And it all starts with how we think and how we behave. And it most certainly is a part of our culture. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. At 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Big Brother Roland Martin, RMU, is coming up next. Make sure y'all continue to support us at blackstarnetwork.com. Go to our website, get all of the latest news and information. Support us financially, share the content, and make sure that you continue to join me in conversations outside of the show. You can follow me on Twitter at Farajii and on my IG page with the real Farajii. So I would love to connect with you. I will follow back. As long as you got some good stuff to share, I'm willing to watch and listen. So I appreciate all of you. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.